Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Adonai Sidkenu, Adonai Yeshuatenu, Baruch Shem Kevod Malkuto Leolam Vayed. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God. The Lord is one. The Lord is righteous. The Lord is our salvation. Blessed be the name of His glorious kingdom forever and ever. Amen. Hi everyone. Today we want to start with a Jewish starting of prayer. Shema Israel, meaning Israel, listen. Hear, O Israel. Last time we were talking about Behar, the Torah. This time there is a new Torah that we'll be looking into. This Torah is called Behakoisai or Behakoisai. That's how they call it. And this has got 78 passages, and we're going to learn quite a bit of it. This is the story about the Uzzah. We all knew the story of Uzzah. Let us get back something before we get into Uzzah's story. Being a Jewish person or being a Jewish, living style, they are expected to follow the Torah very strictly. They should know the Torah by heart, at least. They should know all the Torahs, and then they need to practice every single day. They need to exercise it, and most of them learn in their childhood age. Even if you go and see the Jewish houses, even the commandments would have been written. The first commandment will be in the bottom, second is a little higher, third is a little higher, fourth is a little higher on the doorposts of each and every house. Why they do that? Because if a child grow in his house, he will read, according to the height in the first commandment, the second commandment, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. The more he grow, the more the commandments he will start reading. So the Torah, not only 10 commandments, all the rest of the other Torah portions are supposed to be, expected to be read by the Jewish people and to follow according to that one. That's the bottom line principle of it. Now, when we talk about this Uzzah story, when David was looking into the Ark of the Covenant, it was in Abinadab's house for 20 years. 20 years the temple was without any Ark of the Covenant, so David knew that if the Ark is in the city, it is blessed. There's a lot of blessing if we keep the Ark in the temple. So he goes into Abinadab's place and he brings the Ark of the Covenant. So when he brought the Ark of the Covenant, and Abinadab was in the front, leading the Ark, and Uzzah was at the behind. But the Ark was kept in a cart, probably a bullock cart, or I'm not sure what type of the mode of transportation that they had on those days. But it was kept in a cart. It was kept in a mobile cart. So when at one point the cows got jerked or something happened, so they, jumping around. So Uzzah was trying, because the Ark of the Covenant was airborne and it was shaking around. So Uzzah was trying to hold it, and because of his action, he got beaten up by God and he died. This is the story that we all knew about this one. As we learned before, if you keep the covenant, if you follow the Torah, God will bless you and God will bless your city. But if you don't follow the covenant, if you forget the Torah, God may not bless you, God may leave you. So in this story, how it connects to the Torah reading and Uzzah's thing, because the Torah, when I talked about the portion of this today's portion, Behakoisai, meaning statues, as the three type of statues that we have. The commandments, the mitzvah, the number one is no rational understanding or explanation. There are a type of mitzvahs or commandments which doesn't require any rational understandings or explanations, like the laws of purity and impurity laws, which we saw in the last portion, which doesn't require any rational explanation. And the other mitzvahs, there's the second type of the category or the statute is the Sabbath keeping, like the or Passover keeping, or eating matzah. This all, what it does is it just reminds the events happened in the history behind. So this all, we are basically witnessing that these things happened before. They're all laws according to that. One concerned about this Sabbath keeping, Passover, and eating mitzvahs, eating matzahs, everything. So this is the second category or type of mitzvahs or statutes or laws. They're written. And the third one is called the mishpatim, which is kind of a civil laws. When it is a civil law, means basically, don't do this, or don't lie, don't steal. Those type of laws are very civil, basically. So there are three categories of laws or statutes were given to these Jewish people in the Torah. So if you follow the Torah, absolutely, and it is expected by a Jewish person to follow the Torah, not to mess around with that one, and God will bless you. These Torahs, even about the Torah of carrying the Ark of the Covenant, was even a small kid knew about this one. Even a 5-year-old kid knew how to carry the Torah, Ark of the Covenant. How to carry the Ark of the Covenant. Every kid knew about this one. How come David totally forgot about this one? Ark of the Covenant should be, number one, carried out only by the Levites. No one else can touch this one. Number one rule, Levite are the one. And also, it has a kind of a two long rods in between the Ark of the Covenant that should be rested upon the shoulders of the Levite who is carrying them. And not only that, they have to walk face to face. That's very, very important. They have to walk face to face carrying the Ark of the Covenant. How come David forgotten totally, absolutely all of these things, and he put this Ark of the Covenant on a cart or a truck or whatever you call it? Why they have to face walking in? Why these people have to walk face to face? Even if you see on the top of the box of the Ark of the Covenant, there are two cherubims facing each other. It has to face each other. Even inside the Ark of the Covenant, there is, you know what all those things inside the Covenant, right? 10 Commandments is kept inside. The 10 Commandments, the way it is written in a square and circular form, that each letters are facing each other. In any way you look at, those commandments were written that these letters were facing each other. It's a miracle of the commandment. It's absolute phenomena. And why it has to face each other? Why these cherubims has to face each other? Why these people have to carry the Ark of the Covenant facing each other. They shouldn't be facing back of one on another. Never. They're face to face and carry and walk behind like that. Why? Meaning that God is giving the commandment and the response of the Jewish people facing towards God. That's the meaning. God is giving the commandment and the Jewish people response. Commandment is given, response is given. That's how face to face was being kept in that way. Do you know in those days when God gave these commandments, people died. When the commandments were read for the first time, people could not take it into their hearts and they died. You see, the death in the Bible was sometimes just very unusual. Ananias and Sapphira, they fell and died when the Peter told about their land selling. They just left their life. At the same time, if you see, when Ezra, he wrote the book, when they opening the book, the church for the second time, rebuilding the Jerusalem temple, when they read the first day, when they read these chapters, Nehemiah, if you read the book of Nehemiah, I believe 9th chapter and 10th word, I believe, when they gathered in the Jerusalem temple for the first time after rebuilding that one, when they read the passages, they were hurt in their hearts. They were pinched in the hearts, and they were crying and reading the Torah for 3 hours standing. That is called one watch. One watch is for 3 hours. Even if you see the methodology with what we are doing in this nowadays in the churches, what we do is basically we worship first, we sing song first, and then Bible reading and a message, and then final song, and then we walk out. But it was not that type of a worshiping style in those days in Jerusalem temple. First, the book of Torah was read for them. 3 hours they stood and read the Torah, and they were crying and crying, because every time when the word was read, word is God. The Bible is God. God is speaking directly to them. When you read this Bible is just not a book. It is the flesh, it is the word of God. Is the Bible itself, is God itself speaking to us. When it was read, people used to cry and cry. You don't see that one nowadays in our churches anymore, right? So, this is a point. So, the facing each other. David totally forgot that one. Absolutely failed in that one. He wrote in his book, there are there are a couple of types of the levels of mitzvahs or the commands or the Torahs like that. There are 2 levels. One is God's will and the other one is God's pleasure. Most of the time, David focused on God's will, not on the God's pleasure. On the God's point of view, observing the Torah, walking the Torah, listening the Torah, and obeying for the Torah is God's pleasure in order to do that one. But whereas in David's point of view, it's God's will. That's why he wrote in his Psalms all the time, according to thy will it will happen. According to thy will it should happen. According to thy will. So it is God's will. But God says, no, it's not my will itself. It's my pleasure. It's God's pleasure when you obey the Torah of that one. So it's not the Uzzah's fault that he touched that one and God beat him. It's David, first of all, David's fault that he didn't hire the Levite priest to bring it on. And secondly, he never, he didn't ask them to carry on their shoulders. He put it on the cart, and then that was the greatest mistake. It happened. It went on to Uzzah's face, and then, Uzzah died. So the mistake was about David's, not Uzzah's. So the following the Torah, reading the Torah, and observing it and understanding the Torah is very important in a Jewish life. And for example, you may think about this one, brother, what you were talking about all the time about these Jewish laws and everything, because God came and he took all the way laws, and our laws have been totally been cleared by the grace. Folks, I'll tell you one thing, the reason why